So since I built a saw vise, I felt like I should probably do the obligatory how to sharpen a saw video. If you don't have a saw vise, you could use a kind of thinnish piece of timber to create a temporary solution. If you were to just cut a kerf down the middle of a piece of wood like this, you could just clamp the saw in your vise and sharpen it there, and that'll work just fine. But after you have some way to hold it, the next thing you're going to need is a saw. This one is a Henry Disson tenon saw. It's filed for a rip cut at about 13 points per inch, something like that anyway. So the next thing that you're definitely going to need is a file. You're going to want one of these triangular files, and you're going to want one that's at least twice the height of the teeth you're trying to sharpen. Because otherwise, as you use the different sides and only the edges make contact or the contact overlaps, the middle section of that file will wear unevenly. You're going to need a flat file to joint the tops of the teeth, something like that one. And if you're like me, you're going to need your glasses. So let's get the saw in the vise and get started. I've got the vise just loosely held in my, well, you can't really call it a Moxon vise because it's built into the bench, but my Moxon-ish vise, my twin screw vise. So the first thing you want to do is slide the saw into the vise. As I said, it's held there just loosely. So we're going to slide it in. And we want it to sit so that the teeth are protruding just a tiny bit above the jaws of the vise. That way you'll reduce vibration, give yourself a stable platform to sharpen from. So we'll tighten up the tensioner knob on this one. That's good. A little more. And then we can tighten up the vise so it doesn't flop around on us. So the first thing to do is flatten the tops of the teeth. I'm going to take a flat file like this one and run it straight across to make sure they're all at the same level. And we're going to keep doing that until we can see that they're all even. And now, you can't see it from the camera angle, but the tops of each tooth is reflecting a little bit of light now. That means there's a flat on the top of every tooth. So we're nice and even. So the next thing to do is, well, we're going to grab the one tool I forgot to mention, and that's a little bit of painter's tape. The reason you want this is so that if you need to stop, even if you're not planning to, you want to be prepared for it anyway, because, you know, who knows what's going to happen. Somebody will interrupt you, the cat will catch fire, something will happen. You can put that tape onto the last tooth that you finished and not lose your place and end up repeating teeth or skipping teeth. We'll just stick it on the handle for now in case we need it. Alright. So I'm going to, this is a rip saw, so we're going to file it straight across. If it was a crosscut saw, the teeth would have fleam, so we would, every other tooth, change the angle that we're cutting at like this. Well, really, we wouldn't do that. We would do every other tooth that way and then every other tooth this way. But this is a rip saw, so straight across. And we want the first, say, inch or so of the saw to have a less aggressive cut, and that'll make it easier to start your saw. So we're going to mark off with a little bit of our painter's tape here. That first inch is a reminder. There we go. I'm going to do this left-handed so I don't block the camera. The top of the file, you'll notice, is flat, and as we work our way back towards the end of that tape, we're going to start to rotate it until we have that back face pretty much vertical, and that'll give us a more aggressive cut for the rest of the saw. So that's it. We're going to take the same number of strokes for each tooth, that way everything's sharpened evenly, and we're going to do that until we don't see any light reflecting off any of the tops of any of the teeth. Alright, so let's try to do this left-handed. Start turning the angle of the file a bit as we approach the end of the tape. Now as we come to the end of the tape, we can see that the back face of that file is straight up and down. And we'll just continue on this way for the rest of the saw. Okay, so that's a nice sharp saw. That's really all there is to it. I'm not going to get into setting the teeth and stuff. They should already be set, but maybe we'll do a separate video on how to do that. It's a little easier to get yourself into difficulty setting the teeth. But no matter how experienced you are, the worst you'll do is make your saw at least somewhat better. Goes horribly wrong, you could always just try it again. So let's see how we did. This saw was really having some difficulty cutting before. And I'm sorry, I'm blocking the camera a bit here. I can't saw left-handed. But that's moving very quickly through that little bit of timber there. So that's a vast improvement. Much, much better. That's it. So if you really want to learn how to do this properly in a more in-depth video, check out Paul's Cellars or maybe Wood by Wright. They both have excellent videos that cover this in a bit more detail. That's it. Bye-bye. it.